Let's fly down.
Welcome to New Orleans and welcome to Mardi Gras 2013 in the Crescent City. Right now we're in the home of the Treme. This is the Treme Avenue right here. All right. Have a good time, though.
Historic scenes.
Mardi Gras is it's a big party right before the Lenten season. So it's a big party right before Easter, in which we have lots of parades with floats. We throw lots of beads and cups and stuffed animals. It's lots of different clubs that we have here in New Orleans. Men and women join, and they get on these floats that we decorate. And the company that I work for decorates these floats all year long. We're a big company. We're actually one of the biggest companies in the world, decorating just about 40 different parades. We work on over 500 floats all year long, and we pull them by very large tractors, and we have these huge processions throughout the streets of New Orleans for thousands and thousands of people who come to celebrate this carnival season. And the carnival season lasts over a month, in which we have a great time just celebrating just a huge party that makes our city a lot of money. During this time period, there's actual Mardi Gras balls, and people get dressed up in very fancy outfits, tuxedos, long dresses, to celebrate the Mardi Gras season. And this was brought to us by the French many centuries ago. And nowadays, New Orleans has taken their own customs to it, and it's a tradition in which we have that is unlike anything in the world. Carnival is celebrated all throughout the world, but here in New Orleans we celebrate the carnival season for over a month and have parades for 2 weeks. Not too many places in the world do that. These clubs that we have that actually have the parade, there's no corporate sponsorship for them. So the clubs are, people donate money into them to keep them going all year long, and they're just for fun, and they're just to celebrate the carnival season. So they're basically like carnival clubs. They're men and women organizations in which all year long are having social events, or having events in which people can get together, meet each other, and have parties and have activities all year long. And then the big event at the end of the year is the actual Mardi Gras ball itself and the Mardi Gras parade, in which these people are allowed to get on these large floats and go throughout the streets of New Orleans. One of the best things about New Orleans is the music and the food. It's kind of a tie, because the food here is so great. You can't get food anywhere else in the world like it. We have so many great dishes, so many great chefs and restaurants, and then the music. No place else has jazz. Jazz was started here, and there's so many great places to hear really good music here in New Orleans. So the secret of New Orleans is when you come here to get good food and hear good music. You can't miss it, because it's all over this great city.
New Orleans is renowned throughout the world as being the birthplace of jazz, and of course that's true. But before jazz, there were a lot of other things that influenced jazz, and one of which was blues, although blues actually was not born in New Orleans. Blues was born in Mississippi. But it still came from black culture. And what I can say is that I think that the music of New Orleans is based in black culture. We have traditional jazz, obviously. Dixieland jazz developed from that. We have contemporary jazz of all different kinds, and musicians are still here, still playing all different kinds of jazz. We have what they call, we have marching bands, which you will see during Mardi Gras, which influence a lot of the young musicians to becoming musicians, to taking that as a career. And then we have something called brass band music. Music is part of our nature. I've heard this said before, and it's kind of a cliche, but music bubbles up from the streets in New Orleans. There's also rhythm and blues, and then there's funk. I mean, we have this whole funk thing going on, and it's all very rhythmic. Our music is rhythmic. And I guess the name Offbeat kind of fits into that, because it's about a beat. You can always tell when somebody's from New Orleans. I mean, I can stand in a crowd of people, but I don't know. And if I see them moving their butt in a certain way, I know they're from New Orleans. The city celebrates its culture with music, and in all different ways. Mardi Gras Indians, I didn't even mention those people. And they not only parade, they dance, and they have certain chants, and you can hear the beat in their music, in the Mardi Gras Indians music, that's also in funk, it's also in the brass band music. I mean, it's street music, and you can really hear it in the music of New Orleans. There's also a lot of rappers and hip-hop here. There's some very interesting stuff coming out of New Orleans. There's something called Sissy Bounce.
Bounce music is known for dance. It's more with a boom, ba boom. It's a beat that make you just want to move. Like, for instance, Mardi Gras is a party. So if Mardi Gras is a party, just imagine bounce music with Mardi Gras. If I'm telling you how good bounce music is. And New Orleans style of dancing, it's in the hips, it's in the waist, it's in the top of your body. No matter what you hear, they have crime everywhere. Okay, so no matter what you hear about the city of New Orleans, this is the place to be. And around Mardi Gras time, this is the place you would want to be. If you've never been here before, try it out. Peace and blessings from High Sizzle.
And if you come once, you will come back. One of the very interesting things about New Orleans that a lot of people don't know is that there's a very strong tradition here of passing music through families. I can't even think of them all, but there are many, many families in New Orleans that pass their music on from one generation to another.
I'm doing this interview at John McDonald High School Band Room. I'm a school teacher here. Love the children. Sometimes it's a challenge. I can throw my hands up and run right out of school screaming, but you know, I'm still in for the long haul. A lot of the kids, I feel the music can touch them and guide them in a direction that they wouldn't normally go in if it wasn't for the music. I have a pretty decent band. We're getting things together. We're in the marching band mode right now.
Well, we marched in parade, what, 3 hours?
4 hours.
4 hours. But it don't feel long to me. Keep on driving. I don't have no musicians in my family. Just hearing the music around the city inspired me to try to pick up on it. I love Mardi Gras. I love seeing the bands play each other and like watching the school have some kind of school spirit.
Well, for me, Mardi Gras is when people go out, see a parade, have fun, see bands compete against each other, and just remember the times.
Mardi Gras, oh man, it's about fun. That's it. That's all I can say. And beads and king cakes.
Mardi Gras to me is battling bands, marching, seeing your friends that you didn't see in a long time, looking at other bands battle, having fun with family. It's like the only time of the year besides New Year's where you can just sit out late and have fun.
Brass band established itself during the turn of the century. I'm a part of that brass band legacy because my father, Ernest Paulin, he was born 1907. And he came up during the time when they didn't really have a name for the style of music that they call traditional New Orleans jazz now. He helped perpetuate the music here in New Orleans for over 70 years. I'm from a family of musicians. I have 9 brothers and 3 sisters. 6 of my brothers we play professionally in this region of the city, the country during that time was eclectic. A lot of different races were here and it just mixed together like a gumbo.
Gumbo and jazz have similarities because they come from a mixture of cultures, a blend of cultures, different flavors, different interpretations, because people make it just the way they want to, people make jazz just the way they want to. There's always the essence of jazz is a certain thing, the essence of gumbo is a certain thing. And no matter what the variations are, you always know you're listening to jazz and you always know you're eating gumbo.
Roux is always beginning of the pot. Color of the roux for your gumbo. A lot of people like it real dark, almost black color. I've always loved the smell of the roux cooking. I don't know why, it just has that comfort about it. You know you're going to enjoy something good. It's introduced by one person, and then pretty soon everyone, the French will have a way of serving it. The Orientals will have a way of serving it. The word gumbo itself is okra. It came from Africa, and it was used to barter with as well as the slaves at that time. So today a gumbo can be made of just about anything.
And everything just evolved. I wish I could be more specific. I wasn't there. I wasn't there. It was just something to really think about. When you really think about it, it's awesome. The way things are and the way you can hear the music now, it's still fresh. We are in our Mardi Gras mode right now. Everything is a party. Nobody cares. And we just have a good time and just enjoy. I'm privileged and I'm proud to be a part of the legacy and the culture here in New Orleans. This is all my family now. This is what we do. In New Orleans, we have the second line here in New Orleans. The first line is the people there, the people that are in the social pleasure club, and the second line are the people that are behind the social pleasure club and the band. They call those the second liners. The social aid and pleasure club were very important with the development of the brass band and what we have now in New Orleans called the jazz funeral, the second line parade with different social and pleasure club coming out to strut their stuff. It wasn't just about dancing and partying, it was like an insurance company that came to show reverence and respect to the dead. When people passed away, even the poorest person, if they had insurance in the social aid and pleasure club, they were guaranteed at least a proper burial. They could put them to rest and they found a resting spot in the cemetery with a marked grave, with a horse and drawn carriage, with a brass band. All of that came in one package. I try to hold my kids to a certain standard. I want things a certain way that encompasses the musical part first, the music part of the band. The marching band itself is the most important thing. To put the music on the street, discipline to practice daily your part to add to what the marching band is about. It's a challenging process to put a band together, and I have a beginner band. That means 90% of the band members in the marching band, they just started learning how to play an instrument just about 4 or 5 months ago. So the things that I want them to do and represent while we're in the Mardi Gras parade, that means I'm pushing them to a whole nother level. Even though they're just started, they're on the beginning level, but we don't want to sound like the beginning band. So that means I'm holding them responsible for them to plan their parts correctly. And most of my kids love playing their instrument, love being in the band, and they want to participate.
Keep playing until the day I get older.
But once a certain musical thing happens on stage, it happens to all the musicians on stage. It's like everybody in that zone, the whole band come together like a piece to a puzzle, and everything's right. Everything's right with the world, and you're just playing, and there's nothing that you cannot play or do in that particular moment. And it's kind of strange to try to explain it. You just gotta feel it. It's just a feeling. It's just hard to explain. It's hard to explain. You just have to be on when that moment happens. It's like everything is just like at peace. It's like a peaceful place. You're in a peaceful place in your musical mind. You're not worrying about the problems. You're not worrying about the bills. Or you're not really having nothing on your mind too much. But just that moment right there, it's a beautiful thing. My brothers and I, we experience that moment all the time. All the time. My brother and I, we pray before we go on stage, and we got that from our mom. Our dad, when he was on the stage, he did a lot of fussing. So that's why we started praying. We were praying that he wouldn't be fussing. He would be fussing a lot. So a lot of times we feel our dad, the energy that he brought to the stage. When he's not here now, but we still feel that he's a part of us while we're performing on stage. It's like he's there. You know, it's okay, that's right, y'all doing this right. And it's like coaching us, directing us. You know, we could just feel it, you know, and it's a good thing.
In this country, not just in the city and state, but in this country, music has been cut back drastically. Music education has been cut back. So if we don't do it ourselves, then it's going to be lost. And I'm happy to say that a lot of musicians in New Orleans are very involved in educating young people. Because you have to be disciplined to be a musician. You have to be. You have to practice. Kermit Ruffins, for example, started out in the Rebirth Brass Band.
There's nothing like getting on stage. I mean, from the time I wake up in the morning, I can't wait till showtime. You're like itching for that time. 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, whatever time is showtime, you cannot wait. It's the best feeling in the world. You say showtime, walk on stage, start playing that music, looking at the beautiful people. They're dancing, they're laughing, they're smiling, they're having the time of their life. For the next 2 hours and a half, you're in New Orleans, and you're having the best New Orleans experience that you could have. And we make sure that we make it our business to bring that to people from all over the world. One more time for the band, y'all. We partying! Hopefully, everywhere you go, if there's music, there's food. Whether it be gumbo, red beans, butter beans, crawfish etouffee, it definitely goes hand in hand. I started barbecuing at my show because at break time, the band would be a little hungry, so I had a little bitty grill about the size of this, and I would grill little hot sausages for the band. At break time, we all go out. Then soon later, I decided I wanted to feed the whole audience, so I got a giant barbecue grill right outside. Finally got a day job. Yours truly in the Barbecue Swingers. Thank y'all for coming out tonight. How you like the food? I'm a master chef, and I play music on the side. Almost every musician, when you first start playing, it's for the music. And I think New Orleans musicians, more than any other musicians in the world, we almost don't have a choice. We play for the music because it's not that much money involved in this at all. Either you want to do it and have fun and make a little money, or either you don't do it at all. So, and the music is such a happy music compared to any other music in the world. And New Orleans being the birthplace of jazz, the only true art form in America, jazz music, was born right around the corner. I mean, I think that comes kind of natural for guys not minding little pay. And most musicians have a second job too. New Orleans is one of those places that's the music, the people, the culture. It's all spiritual first, and then it's technical. I mean, first thing is spirits, music, and then it's technical. So people live by having a lot of fun first, and then worrying about paying their bills later. And make sure you get my CD. Get my CDs while I'm hot. Might not be hot next week. Right on sale, right over here. I have about 7,000 or 8,000 CDs left. Can't get rid of them goddamn CDs.
You can't have anything in New Orleans without music. I mean, you really can't. And when you start talking about Mardi Gras in New Orleans, there's sort of traditional music, though there is traditional music for Mardi Gras.
I came here in 1976 from London, and my then girlfriend and I had decided we wanted to do a lot of traveling, maybe go around the world, open-ended period of time, maybe be away 5 years or something. And we'd traveled all around the northeastern part of the United States and Canada some, and then down to Florida, and we timed it to get here to New Orleans at Mardi Gras time. And we arrived on the Thursday before Mardi Gras in 1976. And then we just stayed for a while. We weren't intending to stay permanently, but we got little jobs because we needed to replenish our money a bit, and essentially have lived here ever since. So it's this Mardi Gras that we're just coming up to now will be 37 years. And I love New Orleans, it's home. I like to go back to London now and again to visit, every year or two for a few weeks, but New Orleans is home. It's a wonderful place to live. The culture is, it's geographically part of the United States, of course, but I don't feel it's really part of the United States culturally.
When it comes down to New Orleans, we call it the Big Easy. It's one of the places where you can go and have the best time of your life with the most loving people and most relaxed people in the world. We're real relaxed, we love our music, we love our food, and we have a good time. And we call it the Big Easy.
Mardi Gras, Zulu style!
We're not just a normal Mardi Gras club, we're associated with the club as well. 100 plus years. I'm your wish doctor for 2013.
Here to see and favor that Mardi Gras will go well and successful, that people will have a wonderful and exciting good time, and their time in New Orleans will be well spent. Well, Mardi Gras is going to be successful as a whole. So I believe that, New Orleans and Louisiana will be pretty much back on top of its game. Well, I believe that magic is in the hearts of the people. Pain and the undisciplinary structure that we began to establish our life, that is the greatest spiritual arisement.
The way Katrina changed things in music, it was really terrible to go through. Musicians lived all over the city, not just in the lower nine, they lived everywhere. And they lost their home. Here, musicians don't make a lot of money. They're artists, If they don't have their instruments, they can't play. If they're sick, they can't play. And a lot of the musicians had to relocate. They literally had to leave town. But I always thought what happened, and I was right, is that Katrina would produce a lot of really good music, because out of tragedy comes good art sometimes. Everybody in New Orleans was touched by Katrina, and it was a horrifying experience that nobody ever wants to go through again. One of the things that was very concerning was that if all these people have gone from the city, what's going to happen to our culture here? Because a lot of the musicians who had to leave ended up playing in venues outside the city. They had to go on tour to make a living, and a lot of them had never done that before. So they were exposed to a much broader audience, and it really helped their careers in some ways. So that's a good thing. You have to always look at what's the silver lining, I guess, in a terrible situation. In terms of the love for the city, I love it. I can't imagine living anywhere else. It's probably the most fascinating city in the U.S., I think, and I've traveled to a lot of cities in the U.S. If you're into music and an interesting culture and art, New Orleans is the place for you. And of course, we have great food, and it's visually stunning too. If you're a photographer and you like visual stuff, New Orleans will blow you away. It's great. So come visit anytime and come back, please. we'd love to have you.
The Lakefront Airport that we're working on right now, the current project we're working on right now, was a 1934 Art Deco building. Very unique for that time frame. It was the stucco materials that they used on that particular building were kind of state of the art at the time. And the building itself has a lot of decorative artwork in it, and the government spent a lot of money basically funding projects to put people back to work. They didn't have the jobs, and during that period there were a lot of artists, not just craftsmen, and as well as artists that were out of work. So what they did was they incorporated a lot of artwork into these projects to keep the artists busy, as well as the tradespeople that would have worked on a project like this. There were a lot of people that came to this building. They had dances, and it was used as a cultural center in a lot of ways. People came there to eat and to dance and have parties. It was had been ravaged by Katrina. I wouldn't say it was destroyed, but we had a lot of damage by Katrina. It was about 8 foot of water on the airport during that hurricane. We've had another hurricane since Katrina. We've had Hurricane Isaac. Thankfully, the water didn't get into the actual building, but it did flood the areas around the building and under the building, which set us back a bit. But I think this building, just like so many of the other stories that you'll hear about Katrina, is kind of a testament to the will of the people of New Orleans, that they're going to continue to work and salvage their heritage, their culture, and do everything they can to bring these projects back from the dead, to resuscitate these projects as best we can and move forward. And hopefully we'll never have another hurricane that does this kind of damage, but I'm sure we would repair it again if we did. It's just too much history and culture there.
The thing that I love about Mardi Gras is that the floats, the parade, and having fun with my family.
Lots and lots of people turn out for them to watch the parades. And the big thing about makes parades in New Orleans different from pretty much everywhere else is that the riders in the parades throw things for the people in the crowd to catch. The biggest throw are what we call beads, which are like necklaces in different colors and different designs, and people really covered the beads. I threw a whole lot when I paraded the other day. And then things called the balloons, which the Rex organization started way back, and they're like a big coin, and then cups, these takeaway cups, plastic cups, drink cups, have become a very big throw in the last 2 or 3 decades. And soft toys like stuffed animals, a lot of those for the children. So everybody is trying to catch something, and we on the floats are trying to keep up with having enough to throw to them, and everybody just has a great time.
Mardi Gras is about hanging around with friends, family, and it's about the family tradition and sticking together. Like without the tradition, we wouldn't really have nothing.
New Orleans, and we are part of a crew called Muses. Muses is a parade that started with actually a friend of mine that went to Tulane, decided one day she was going to start this all-women night parade, and there'd never been any all-women night parades. And she went down to the city council and got the charter, and who knew that the next thing you know we were going to be completely full and with waiting lists, and so full in fact that after 11 or 12 years there's now other parades that are copying what we did, if you don't mind, and they're doing as well too. But so I started at the very beginning. It was kind of cool to be one of the first people. And then my daughter here get to tell our story. I got on a waiting list when I was 16, and then like 2 years later they closed membership down completely, like closed the list. You couldn't even get on the wait list. And about 2 years ago I got a letter in the mail that said you're off the waiting list to ride, you're now a riding member. So I mean it took years. But when people come now, people my age, they're shocked to hear that I'm in it because you can't even get in. Anyway, so it's a great parade. It's one of the biggest successes, and one of the things that we do, Muses does that's different, is instead of just throwing generic plain beads, we have all of our own signature throws. So we have all of this great stuff. And one of the biggest things we do, although I'm not very good at it, is we throw shoes. That's sort of our signature thing. So we have all these signature shoes. But they're not regular shoes. What you do is they are shoes. They're regular shoes, but then you decorate them. You have a whole party where you pretty much, the process is you cover the shoe in glue, go to a thrift store, buy like a shoe for $1, cover it in glue, cover it in glitter, and then decorate it. So have you taken any pictures of some of the fabulous shoes? You got a shoe? Fabulous. They got a shoe. They're really hard to get. And when you're riding, all you hear are people screaming, shoe. So that's Muses. It's the best parade. Come see us. It's always on Thursday night. Almost always rain or shine, unless it's really nasty. And come to Mardi Gras. Don't think Mardi Gras Day is Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras Day really starts the week before. And it's pretty much non-stop. So happy Mardi Gras! Happy Mardi Gras!
I'm the president of the Club. I've been the dictator for 17 years. On any given Sunday, you'll see us with designer suits and shoes and thing on. We try to hire the best of brass bands, and then we get out there and we do the thing for 4 hours. And it's open to the world. And more modern time, more Caucasian people have seen it and fell in love with it. And the party just has had big impact. Well, the New Orleans Mardi Gras Indian been in existence here in the city since mid to late 1800s, as Mardi Gras took foot in the city of New Orleans, and they had just carried on for decades. That on any given Sunday, you could go by the local neighborhood bar and have what they call Mardi Gras Indian practice. This is where tribes come from across the city, go to that bar and go through the ritual of dancing and singing and chanting, ask for what they're going to do Mardi Gras Day. But at this time of the year, all good Mardi Gras Indians are at home, so they're thrilled to be here very soon. So they're recruiting all hands available and everything to make that talk of the day. I always say that a Mardi Gras Indian is a Picasso, and that I compare the design and making of a Mardi Gras Indian suit to the designers of Paris and France and New York. It all starts off with a drawing. It's either in your house or at your door. So it's always there. And by being so special, and if you're sitting on your front porch with your trading needle sewing, then they're gonna draw, people want to know what you're doing. And the children will stand there and watch and ask all the children questions, and eventually you're gonna teach them how to sew. Once you recognize as a Mardi Gras Indian in your neighborhood or your community, you're gonna be recognized until the day you die. No matter what position you have, whether you're a spy or a flag, everybody call you chief. But that's an honor. On Mardi Gras Day, after staying up all night and everything, and I don't know where you find the energy from. You walk out the door and all the people in the neighborhood standing there waiting for you. And they're going to tell you how great a suit you made and everything, and then starts the journey. It's worth all the energy and effort you put into it until that day is over. And that's when you realize that you done walked 5, 6, or 7 miles across the city, and then now you got to figure out how to get back home. But once it's over, the process starts again. When the tribes get to meet, that's where the Indian practice come in. You got the spy boy and the flag boy and the gang flag and the wild men and the big chiefs and stuff. And they all dance and sing and talk about each other till you tell your best friend how ugly his children is, and saying, well, that suit you made, you know, you did better go and get you one from Walmart. You know, all that just part of it, you know. And then after it's all over, from the meeting of the tribes and everything, then life goes back to normal. 30 days after Mardi Gras St. Joseph, and that's the marker of the closing of the Mardi Gras Indian season. And you start the process all over again. I always say, you can always have a Mardi Gras Indian on the streets of New Orleans. I lived out in the lower 9. I had 14 feet of water. I lost everything in my home. My original little building got drowned with all my artifacts in it. But as being a lifelong participant of the culture, my peers came to my aid. Once the building was rebuilt, look around you. You know, they came with pictures and regalia and everything, wanting to be part of this great story of rebuilding the city of New Orleans, and letting everybody know that our cultural life is alive and well. Compared to the other part of our life, that's a daily struggle. Here in New Orleans, 7 years after Hurricane Katrina, the community called the Lower Ninth Ward, we still in the struggle of rebuilding. Even though we had Super Bowls and all kind of major events, but at the same time, this city is not complete. The Chamber of Commerce do a good job saying New Orleans is back, but it's not back the way that people have it presented. Because if you tour my community, you're going to see empty lots and empty homes. That used to be a well-populated community. But one house and one family at a time, we rebuilt it. Because we are New Orleanians. Even though we were called refugees after the storm, American citizens on American soil, we were called refugees. We had to endure all of that. But at the same time, we love New Orleans. And we sacrificed to come back here to try to be taxed out and everything else. But we're people of endurance, so here we are. And I would like to say thank y'all for coming to the House of Dancing Feathers. I always say get to hear the truth from the inside and not outside. And again, I say thank y'all.
Hi, my name is Leroy Jones, and I'm a jazz trumpeter from New Orleans. And I'm maintaining the tradition of New Orleans music, New Orleans jazz in particular, here in New Orleans. And a lot of the music has been diluted by other genres of music that make the music become something that it wasn't originally intended to be. As a contemporary musician also, I'm not opposed to anything that changes, but I think that the music in its purest form should be preserved for the people who really appreciate that music. And I'm one of those musicians who have a great affection, a great love for playing swing music, pure jazz with the element of swing and improvisation, and acoustic music without any electronic instruments, music the way it was in its heyday, when the jazz was being developed and musicians were experimenting with different things and trying to make something unique. And also, I live here in New Orleans. I live in the historic Faubourg Treme, which is an area that's very near the French border. And I love living in this city because there is an energy here, there's a vibe here that is unlike anywhere else in the United States, and definitely unlike anywhere else in the world. And I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. When I'm playing with musicians who understand the music the way I understand it, musicians who have the same concept about how to approach playing the music, the magic happens. Like with this band tonight that I'm working with at Preservation Hall, everybody understands the music the way I understand the music. And so our concept and the way we want to approach the ensemble parts that we play together, we do it with ease because everybody feels one another. There's no music, there's no
really there's no written music. We have some books there, but those are only just for basic guides to keep everyone, especially the rhythm section, in the right place. So, but everything is happening spontaneously, and which is the true magic of jazz and improvisation. It's spontaneous, it's unrehearsed, and what we played tonight, we probably will never play that again. Those sort of things that happen, they must be captured on recording in order to preserve it, because we may come back here next week and we play something totally different, even though we're playing the same song. So whenever you're working with musicians who are gelling together and the band is swinging, it makes it so much easier as a soloist, as an instrumentalist, or as a vocalist to project what you want to project to the audience and to swing, and it makes it much easier for you to express yourself musically.
Some citizens that came together back in 1980 and decided that it wanted to operate a service that would support the local culture and the local music community of New Orleans. And it's all volunteer operated. We have 750 volunteers with a very small paid staff to support those volunteers. Our money comes primarily from our listeners. We raised last year $1.8 million from our listeners. And this is the voice of freedom and the voice of culture and the voice of the music community and the voice of the community in New Orleans itself. The identity of New Orleans is totally wrapped up in its music, and WWOZ is all about the music community of the city. So we have 100 show hosts. Nobody gets more than one show, and they're not paid. They're all volunteers. And they share, the whole idea is they're sharing their passion for the music with all the people who feel the same way in this extended community around the world. We go out and we do a lot of live music. We just follow the music wherever it goes, out into the streets, into the churches, into the clubs. We call ourselves the guardians of the groove, and we're very much about maintaining the identity, the musical identity of this city, the cultural heritage of this city. We have a listing of all of our live music venues, which we announce every 2 hours. It's on our website. It's called the Live Wire, and by doing that, we support all the musicians, so that we encourage people to go out and listen to live music, and of course that keeps them thriving economically. Where the station was located in 2005 was in Armstrong Park, which was just outside the French Quarter. The water came right up to the door of this station. We had to go off the air because there was no electricity and everybody was evacuated. We operate from membership, from people donating to the station. The hurricane happened just before the fall campaign. So I got a call from a friend of mine who has a radio station, another community station in Newark, New Jersey, called WFMU. And he said, you know, I've got a lot of New Orleans music on my server. And so I did some recordings from my motel room in Arkansas so that he could put it online. And I was explaining to people what had happened to us, and I was asking for money. So we established 5 days after the flood something called WWOZ in Exile. People started sending in what we call air checks, which is recordings of programs from previous airings and broadcasts. You could go to a WWOZ site through a proxy, and people started reporting musicians that they saw who were safe and that were not in trouble. And all of a sudden, this list started getting longer and longer, and everybody started reporting to this list. This is probably the first instance, even before the word was invented, of crowdsourcing. This was in 2005. I don't think crowdsourcing was a word in 2005. In fact, Kermit Ruffin famously said when we come back on the air, which wasn't too much later, he was going to come back to New Orleans, which he did. It was like a beacon. It was like a sign to people that the city could still survive, because the question was very much open at that time. When we went off the air, some 26 stations like ours, community radio stations around the country, unsolicited, sent us money to get back on the air. We raised over $70,000 from these stations, which meant I didn't have to lay off my staff. But when we got back in the spring, everybody knew their job, and we were able to have a very successful campaign. It was really the mother of all membership drives. fund drives. So I took the $70,000 that they originally had sent us, and I bought this big truck so that it's a broadcast recording truck with 2 studios in it. And so in the event of another weather event, another incident, we can take that truck out of the city and we can broadcast from the truck. And so, but also, we created what we call the Katrina Network. And every station that sent us money, whether it was $500 or $10,000, and there was some of each, they are part of the Katrina Network. And if they ever have an earthquake or a hurricane and it knocks them off the air, we will send the truck and they can broadcast from the truck as well.
I was born to a New Orleans Mardi Gras in the city of New Orleans. And if it was ever taken away, I don't know, and I wouldn't understand what that would mean. But it's been a long time.
Hey, it's 5 a.m. We're in New Orleans and we stayed up all night. Come and see the skeletons wake up everyone in Treme. It's Mardi Gras. Happy Mardi Gras.
Happy Mardi Gras.
The baby doll phenomenon comes from my grandmother, Alice Williams Brooks. I became an Orisha priestess, a Santana, because of my family here in the United States. We've been here for 400 years or more. And the tradition of skulls, I wish my people here in Treme understood that skulls emanate Agum culture in Africa. The baby dolls are spirit dolls. I myself is a spirit doll. You and anybody else can see that this is the way that women that has been suppressed for integrity forever get a chance to do and be and make fun of men, and we can feel powerful on this day. And yes, my name is Diana. My African spiritual name is Omisiade. This here is for my mothers, every mother from this firm. Thank you.
That's me. All the way from Belgium. Oh, my costume. I am the gator that lost its mind from the Johnny Horton song, The Battle of New Orleans.
Mardi Gras literally means fat shooting day. And on Ash Wednesday, the day following, traditionally and still very much in practice here in New Orleans, people go to church and have an X marked on their foreheads with soot.
Hi, I'm Oscar, your sister.
The best in the land.
I'm his brother.
John Mac coming back out here after all these years about to test something up and then some. Yeah, get some. Hello.
Mardi Gras, God save the Queen, Canada.